So you guys probably know, but I usually get the ideas for these tech tips from whatever I screwed up on the last video. You know, lessons learned, we talk about it, whatever. The last video, I didn't work on nothing. So it's safe to say I didn't screw nothing up. But, like everybody else, I still have plenty of time to get online, right? So, as usual, scrolling through whatever. Always has to do something with car stuff. And guys, there's a trend going around that just pisses me off beyond belief. So that's what I want to talk to you about on this week's Tuesday Morning Tech Tip from Pugliese Speed Shop. Yo, so there is always somebody out there that doesn't know what's going on. And I'll be the first to tell you, it's me sometimes, right? I mean, there's some things I've said on this channel, some things I've done on this channel that I just absolutely screwed it up. Perfect example, I did an oil change on my Road Glide. It was about 2 years ago. Kevin watched the video, called me immediately. Dude, please tell me you didn't put 5 quarts of oil in that thing. I said, I sure did. And then I rode to Harley, and it was all down the side of my damn bike, right? The bags were covered, all sorts of things. And I fought that, all this residual oil that was in the air filter and all sorts of stuff, for probably about a month afterwards. And it was just a freaking nightmare. So then, of course, I made a tech tip, right? The next week saying, this is what I did, don't do it. Some people don't have that kind of humility, and it's upsetting. I'm okay with making mistakes. Obviously, I put it on the internet for the world to see. I mean, maybe about 9 people check it out, but that's besides the point, guys. You know, it's out there. You can learn from my mistakes so you guys don't make the same mistake. There's people out there that won't do that. They will argue and argue and argue. They will give advice. And then when somebody else says something, they're like, maybe that's not right. Let me think about it. And no, they don't do that. They don't say that. They go ahead and just keep arguing and arguing and arguing when they have no idea what they're talking about. And it makes me freaking crazy because there's people out there that go to these, groups, these Facebook groups, these forums, all this stuff to try and get some good advice, and they're getting trash. So I wanted to make a video because I got very pissed off this last week with 2 individuals that wouldn't admit they were wrong, no matter what proof, what they say, brought the receipts, didn't matter. All right, guys. So I'm in this OBS group, right? I'm in quite a few of them on the old Facebook and all that. Obviously, I have one. I've done quite a bit of work to it. I've arguably done more research than I have work. I've followed these trucks forever. I've loved them since they came out. So it's safe to say that I know a thing or two about a thing or two, right? Well, this guy in one of the groups was asking a question. He bought the truck. It had a drop on it, a 2.4 drop. That's what this has. So he had some questions about it. So I was like, hey, you know what? I could probably help this guy out, right? So I read through his thing. And he says he wants to get a little bit lower in the back. Okay, cool. Got it. So he's asking about the 2.4 drop. Like I said, this truck has one. I didn't put it in. Nick did, as you guys know. But I have lowered many trucks over the years, cars, trucks, all that, all different ways. I understand how it works, the geometry behind it, the right way, the wrong way, all that kind of thing. I actually bought a 2.4 drop for the Suburban. I ended up not putting it in. It's still in the back shop. If anybody's interested, I'm probably going to sell it because I don't have a Suburban. But I got it. I understand how it all works, right? So I says to him how it works. You have a 2-inch drop in the spindle up front. You got 4 inches drop in the back. You have a shackle that gives you 2 inches, and then you relocate the front spring mount to give you the other 2. So I suggested to him, hey, they make a 3-inch kit, a 3-inch shackle, like a 3-inch drop shackle for this truck. That's one thing you can do. But now you're looking at 5 inches. be careful of clearance. You might need a C-notch it or something. Or there's lowering springs as well. Well, this upset some dude that didn't know what the hell he was talking about. Because he says that's not how it works. A 2-4 drop just gives you 2 inches of drop in the front and 2 inches of drop in the back. So I said, if that's what you think that does, why wouldn't they call it a 2-2 drop? I mean, it's just numbers, guy, right? No, you don't understand what you're talking about because you drop each one 2 inches, so it drops at 2 inches. So apparently this guy knew better than, you know, the people at Rough Country that made the kit. My tape measure, Nick's tape measure, you know, all these guys. There's tons of companies out there that have these kits, and the numbers are there, so you know how much drop you're getting from stock. Now, if you got sacked out springs or something like that, it takes everything out of the equation. But you know that's how this goes. He would not stop, guys. I said, dude, I've put just 3-inch shackles in the truck and it drops at 3 inches. So then when you relocate it's geometry, it's simple geometry. This friggin' moron couldn't figure it out. And he kept coming back and coming back. And I'm like, would you stop giving this guy bad advice? He's like, oh, you're the guy giving him bad advice because you think you can get 5 inches of drop just by a 2-4 drop and just by using shackles. No, I didn't say that. I said you can get 3 inches with the shackles and 2 inches with this or springs. I gave him options because I understand how it works. This guy worked on one truck, and he thought he knew everything, and he probably didn't even work on it. You know, his cousin probably came over and did it, and it just, guys, I wanted to reach through the phone and shake this freaking dude because he wouldn't stop. And now I'm actually pulling up the websites and screenshotting and you know, attaching it to this thread, telling the original guy that asked the question, please don't listen to this dude. This is what the manufacturers are telling you. This is the actual measurement. This is what will happen. This guy finally has like, you know, and I hate to say it, but like, I think this guy was, hopefully I'm wrong, but I think the guy that was the original poster was listening to this frickin' Mama Luke because, you know what they say, the one who screams the loudest, right? This guy was wild, dude. He just kept on posting, post. My little thing's going off for notifications, so when I finally said, you know what, I don't care. It ain't my truck. I know what my truck has. I don't give a shit, all right? So that was earlier in the week, and it was, guys, it was frustrating, and it's upsetting because if you don't know what you're talking about, don't say nothing. Maybe, you know, if you want to follow people, like put like a little dot, a period or whatever, or like write following so they can learn something. But when you got this freaking idiots out there yelling, right? So that happened again. A couple days later, another one of the groups, the guy said his on 5 to 10 minute drives, his coolant is going from the radiator into the overflow. I said, okay. That's all he said. 5 to 10 minute trips, didn't overheat, nothing, didn't puke out, didn't do anything crazy. He just noticed that was going up and it was coming low in the radiator. Okay, so I look at it, and I'm like, I'm sure somebody's already told this guy, change your rad cap, dude. I'm sure somebody already told him that, right? It's like a freaking $6 fix, I'm sure. One guy did. And then I think he got so beat up by the other guys, he didn't want to bother it anymore either. So, there's people in there telling him, sounds like a head gasket. He never said it was going into the oil. Then, what was the other one? Yeah, what you got to do is you need to flush your whole cooling system. You should drain. One guy actually told him this. Drain your whole cooling system, then start the truck. Whoa! What are you doing, guy? That's what he told this guy to do, right? And then stick a hose in there, and it'll flush everything out, whatever. And it's like, this guy is asking the simplest question, right? There was other things. Head gasket was 100. Open your radiator cap. Look if there's oil residue inside. If so, yeah, you need a head gasket. The intake's leaking. They're known for leaking around the top of the intake. This, that, whatever. Change your intake gasket. Change this, change that. And this poor guy, you know. So I commented on there. And I said, my exact words were, please stop giving this man terrible advice. The truck is not getting hot, because they're all telling me, oh, well, since it's overheating. He even mentioned, he said, it's not getting hot. It's not going to the oil. But everybody thinks, because one time, their uncle told them what was wrong with the car, and now they think they're freaking hot rod gods, and they're going to tell everybody everything. And don't take the wrong way, I know for a fact I'm not, all right? I am not the most knowledgeable hot rod dude or anything, by any stretch, guys, okay? But I do know basic shit, all right? So I tell him, stop giving this man terrible advice. He never said any of these things. And then I put another sentence, another paragraph. I said, dude, it's probably your rad cap. It doesn't, the pressure, the spring's gone bad in there, whatever, so it's not getting full pressure and it's shooting in there. How do you think I might have known that, guys? Maybe, like 2 weeks ago, I was driving this thing and I hit the brakes and water shot out of the freaking overflow because it did that and the rad cap was bad. Maybe that happened. Maybe somebody that drives a bunch of stuff, they might know, right? So I told the guy, I said, the way to figure this out for sure is do a pressure test on the system. You can find out whatever your problem is, you'll probably figure it out. Or, for about $6, go grab a new radiator cap, stick it on there, top everything off, make sure your fluids are right, and monitor it. So, if it stops, you fix the problem for $6. You can pass this information on to somebody else. If it doesn't, which it probably will, then you go on looking at other stuff, right? Then maybe you do your pressure test and this and that. So luckily, and I was happy to see this, it was a pretty big thread with a lot of nonsense on it, right? I keep getting notifications from that one as well. One guy replied to it, and he was cool. He said, finally, somebody that actually can troubleshoot, giving somebody good advice instead of just throwing out nonsense. And then that thing had about, 100 and something likes, where at least people like looking at that comment, people were like, oh, sweet, thanks. Somebody's actually doing the right thing. And the problem was, that was my comment and one others that I saw saying that, and there was 100 and some comments on this thing, all telling this guy the wrong stuff. I mean, if you don't know, shut up. Just shut up and let somebody that does know, or maybe let them give the information, right? Again, we can't do that because, a simple Google search would have told this guy that. And that's another thing. We all got the same Google. We're all holding a freaking computer in our hands all the time. Stop asking these forums where you get Joe Jerkoff that don't know nothing answering all these questions for you and then taking it as gospel. Stop doing that. And I get the irony of here I am making a video telling you not to listen to guys' videos. Well, I start off by telling you how I screwed up my motorcycle, right? So, there's videos out there from actual, legitimate companies that are like QA1, or the QA1, but A1 Auto, and like Harley, and all these guys, they do videos, these companies sponsor them because it's a proper thing. And then you have other ones that, man, there's some tricks that can be, learned here and there, and I get it, and that's awesome. But don't just watch the one video. Don't just take the first guy's advice. Because more often than not, people just, drives me crazy. There's all these little things. Like, you know how many times I've been in reading comments or watching a show or anything. I'm a Pontiac guy, right? There's no big block Pontiacs. There's no small block Pontiacs. They're all the same. 326 to 455, everything fits. Everything is, but people be, oh, it's got a 455 big block Pontiac. You're an idiot. If you don't know what you're talking about, don't say it, all right? And it's just because you got these guys out there that are trying to learn. And nowadays, nobody's reading books, guys. I ain't reading books, I'll tell you that. We're going to the phone, we're looking at it, and we're reading, we're looking at videos, we're reading, Wikipedia. Now you got AI out there, that's the first answer that comes up. And guys, it's like we never saw the Terminator movies, right? Sometimes it's great. A lot of the times, it ain't. So you got to know a little something and have the basics before you can really go to that kind of stuff. Because I was just talking with old Wade yesterday, and he was saying he used it for to basically do the math of, okay, I got this motor, this trans, what rear end gear do I want? Okay, that's cool. And that kind of works. Or you can sit there and do it the old school way, right? And if you have a little bit of knowledge, you know kind of what you want anyways, right? So the AI thing can help you out. But if you go in there with nothing, and maybe you're not answering the question right or something like that, you're going to get who knows what. So please, guys, if you don't know, shut up and let somebody else tell you. If you do know, please correct the guys that are giving this terrible advice. Hopefully, I steered that guy right with the radiator cap problem, because it seemed like he was one of the guys that he actually loved my comment. So that's serious. You guys know what's going on, you know? But I hope I helped that guy. I hope I helped the other guy too. But honestly, I don't think I did, because this one dude was just carrying on about axle flipping, which is fine if you know what you're doing. But, with the kits that these guys are putting on this, if you're not a welder, if you don't know this guy was not any of that kind of stuff. And he's going to end up too low, because that happened with Nick when he bought the 4-wheel drive one. He went to lower it, and he did the axle flip, and that was too low. So he put a different shackle on to lift it back up, because he knows what he's doing. He can do that. This guy, I'm afraid that this guy's going to just start cutting up his truck, and it's either going to end up in a junkyard or something. And I hate seeing that. I hate seeing somebody just sit there and single-handedly destroy a vehicle, especially when they're doing the right thing and they're reaching out to help. To the places that they can get help. So, if you're in those forums, if you're in those groups, we need better moderators, whatever. I had to vent a little bit. I'm still pissed off about it, as you could probably tell. But hopefully, they went to the right people for the research, went to the websites that actually make these kits, and they tell you all this stuff. Stop listening to the loudest guy on the internet. Hopefully, just totally tank my video by telling you I'm not the loudest guy. I promise you. All right? Thanks for watching, guys.